your money by going through a scenario with a CPA and myself of what kind of questions you're going to answer and how the system looks. Now, Facebook has a lot of scams. All right, but if you follow Veteran Trash Talk, you know that we're not a scam. And information is power. All you have to do doesn't cost you anything. Scan that QR code right there. I think it's right there. Something like that. Yeah, that'll take you to Veteran Trash Talk. Go to the events and say interested in going. All right, to part 2 of Army Veteran Ken and financial security. We'll see you then.
Hey, what's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
Here is a firm believer in all men are created equal, but not all men live equal. That is why there's a certain select number of people in the DoD who decided to jump out of airplanes. And yes, we are better than you. 100%. Now, don't be the first triggered pansy to say, well, airborne's not relevant. You haven't jumped since World War II. Well, that's not accurate, for one. And two, it's like having a jalopy or a 68 Mustang. Well, a 68 Mustang's no longer relevant. Doesn't matter. It's still a better car than yours. So take it easy this National Airborne Day and just accept that we are better than you.
So 2 things for today's Honesty Cap. First thing, how do all my boys from the 101st feel knowing that the Army decided that instead of actually making you airborne, they would just create a whole new division that's airborne because you just aren't cutting it? It sucks. Thing number 2, for all the folks that were like, oh, airborne is irrelevant, doesn't even matter. They're making a whole new division of just airborne people because they're relevant. Think about that. How's that feel? Does that hurt a little bit? I hope it hurts a little bit.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's going on, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is Air Force veteran Jason France, who will be promoting his book, 5 Million Steps. And today I am joined by Nick and Buddy, and Chris over here, the fake Asian, is actually live as well. He is in Colorado with no other than Ryan with 10th Mountain Whiskey. Happy
Linda's there too.
And Linda's there too. I didn't see her.
Yeah, there she is. Bam.
What's up, you crazy clowns? We got Brian Dewar here as well. So we're all here having a good time with your crew. Everything's great, man.
That's awesome. So yeah, we've been promoting that flyer. What's going on up there? What do you guys got going on?
Wait, we got another special guy here, Stephen Cote.
Oh, look at that. Hey, Steve, yeah.
Oh, hey.
There you go. Warriors whiskey, right? So
yep.
Get it rocking and rolling. Love it, man. You guys are awesome people up there.
We're celebrating 10 years of 10th Mountain Whiskey today, man. It's our anniversary, so we got a number of bands playing, a lot of whiskey flowing, and some good times. We got 4 or 5 different military nonprofits. Shane from Scorpion 6 Knife Companies here. Warriors Wingman, Base Camp 40, Vail Veterans Program, Project Healing Waters. Am I missing anyone? Motorcycle Relief
Veteran Trash Talk's there.
Veteran Trash Talk in the house. Here. Damn right.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
That's what's
up. All right, so Chris, what we got going on there? We don't let the baker on camera very often, so we got to give him his moment in the sun.
Check this out. Hold on. Look,
all right.
This was y'all missed.
We did a special cork.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, that's sick.
Nice.
Pretty fun, isn't it?
Yeah, Chris,
isn't that the statue that's right there in Vail or whatever?
That's exactly right. Yep, you got it. Yeah, we miniature.
I be knowing things. I be knowing things, y'all.
Yeah, right.
I'm impressed.
We thought Buddy just knew how to pull triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I be knowing things. I see things sometimes.
No, it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great party. We got special expressions out here tonight. So if you're listening and you're in the area, come out. We're still selling tickets at the door.
Yep.
Nice.
Absolutely. Love to have anybody come out and join.
How much are tickets, Chris?
$49.
What do you get? You get a shot?
You get a cocktail. You get a little food credit. You get 3 awesome bands, and you get to hang out with us, brother.
Hell yeah.
Worth it. Yeah. Totally worth it.
Anybody knew that area hanging out with Ryan
out here too right now.
Hanging out with Ryan is never disappointed.
Never. Sometimes they think
we got some stories.
Yeah, we got some stories, but we won't tell them live. We won't tell them live.
Hanging out with Ryan, where there are at least 150-gallon barrels of whiskey right behind you. So,
got it. Gotta be a good time.
Barrels as far as the eye can see. There's even more outside.
Well, you have glasses on, Chris. Your eyes can't see that far, but I can see.
Okay. And then if you look, this is where all the magic happens.
Very nice.
Very nice.
That's what's up. And for anybody that's watching, you can go check them out at 10thwhiskey.com. All right. Again, 10thwhiskey.com. That is 10th Mountain Whiskey. And if you want to get some booze, type in VTT and get a discount. Boom.
And also, if you don't remember VTT, you also have a standing veterans discount, don't you?
Yeah, we do. It's just military, 10% off every day. Absolutely.
Right. Yep. So if you forget VTT, just say I was in the Army, and then they hook you up. So it's good to go.
Right.
Air Force. Air Force.
Wait, hold on. Do you give a military discount for the Coast Guard as well, or is that like a home? Do
you have a Homeland Security discount? Because they're not really a branch of the DoD.
We charge them devil. I think we charge them devil.
Yeah, they should definitely have to put in code square grouper.
Yeah, exactly. Squid grouper.
Started working with us.
Yeah.
Different department.
Different department. Still all the same.
Not a puddle pirate?
Love it.
Not a puddle pirate.
Okay.
That's all right. Well, Chris was worked for the Department of the Navy, so it's fine.
I did.
Deep water guys.
I did. The men's department. Yeah.
That's
Well,
what's
we
up.
miss you guys. We're thinking about you. We always appreciate you and love you. We'll have one here soon enough together.
Yeah.
You guys got a story, Chris? You guys want to cover something before we get into this, or are they going to take off?
You talking about the story?
Oh, hell yeah. I would love to, right? So our anniversary picks, we invited Rob Dietrich, the head.
That's why I'm running the show today.
So we invited Rob here on July 4th. He came up and helped Sean and I and Brian pick our anniversary barrels. And Rob is a 10th Mountain vet, served in the early 90s to late 90s, I think. I'm not sure exactly when he got out, but he's an amazing distiller, someone I've always looked up to since day one. He was the head distiller of Stranahan's for a long time, and then he got picked up with Metallica and is the head distiller of their brand now. And so he came up and did a little barrel pick with us. Super special for us. Honored to have him here. So it's his signature that's on those bottles. So
it's delicious. You want to show him the map?
Show him the map. It's all the way over there.
That's all right.
Let's go. Let's walk.
We'll show them all the barrels on the way.
We're gonna walk and talk because we're skilled like that.
Nice.
We know how to walk and talk.
Two things at once.
And we got Derek Van Unick. Wow, that's a pretty solid last name. City fellas had me at Trash Talk. Well, I hope you got better as a eunuch. All right,
So Rob was in Battle of Mogadishu in '93. We got gifted this map and some medals and some articles about that from Captain Patterson. So when Rob walked in, he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You guys have a map?" So he sat here and just told me everything from A to Z about what's going on there. So He was on comms with Black Hawk when it went down and that whole story. But so it was great to hear it firsthand from Rob. Gave Rob chills. I think maybe provide a little relief just for him to see it again. So it was super special for me to hear firsthand from Rob. And so it's just incredibly special, man.
Oh yeah, cheers to that.
The 10th Mountain was in Mogadishu. That most people just think it was the Ranger Regiment that was there.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Helicopter pilots. It's like,
yeah.
that's other fellas.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh,
so then if you come down, you get to hang out in the tasting room as well. They've got all the hey, buddy, look at all those cordials.
What was that calf patch over there? What is that all about? Hey,
the calf patch?
Yeah.
The horse they never rode, the bridge they never crossed, and the color speaks for itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that is awesome. I can't wait to get up there.
Yeah. We're gonna make a trip out there.
We need to do a VTT bonding experience up here.
Yeah, you need that.
Team building.
We can bond. Yeah. We can bond.
Yeah.
Team building.
Yeah, I'll team build the shit out of you. Yep. So,
this flag was flown in Afghanistan about 10 years ago, and the 10th Cav guys wanted to fly here next. So when they got back here, they dedicated that one to us. So super special as well.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, that is a really cool wall. Yeah, super excited about the new distiller and all that great stuff. Like I said, I can't wait to get up there. But I know you were super busy. You gotta get back to your party. Any last words for the crew and the team watching?
Love you guys. Talk some trash, would you?
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Absolutely, brother.
All right. Hey, stay walking for the next 2 hours at least. Hey, Steve. All right, I hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling better, Steve.
Hello to all the Veterans Whiskey Club folks out there, Warriors and Whiskey, like I said, celebrating one drink at a time, making a difference every dram.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Cheers
Cheers to that. Cool. Yes, sir.
Hey, guys.
Later, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Later, brother. That's
right.
awesome, man. We're gonna have a good time today.
Yeah,
Sure.
100%.
A real good time. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get this show kick-started. And do you want to skip the? We'll do a conspiracy since we already have a video.
We gotta do it. Yeah. I gotta play the video.
Have you guys heard of Nahanni National Park in Canada, also known as the Valley of the Headless?
Way up north.
No.
Way up in the north,
like Newfoundland,
northwest.
I couldn't tell you where exactly, buddy.
Yeah,
but it's like
and a river that runs through it, and people keep disappearing in there.
I've seen that movie.
Never heard of her. Never heard of it.
Well, not only disappearing, but we're gonna get into that. We'll play the video and then we'll discuss the conspiracy, and then we'll get on to our guests. So go ahead and play it, Nick.
All right.
Full of secrets that people just can't help but lose their heads over. My name's Jeremiah from Bigfoot Society, and I share legends, lore, cryptids, and more. In 1908, brothers Willie and Frank McLeod ventured into the Nahanni Valley in the Northwest Territories of Canada. They were driven there by dreams of finding gold, however, they never returned. Fast forward 2 years and a shocking discovery was found on the banks of the Nahanni River. The McLeod brothers were found lifeless on the banks of the river, but with a horrifying twist, both their heads were gone. Murdered and decapitated, they were left as a grim warning by the river, a fate no one could explain. 9 years later, the valley again called to another gentleman, Martin Jorgensen, also with dreams of gold. Jorgensen sent letters out of the valley saying there was a triumphant gold strike. However, silence fell over the valley. His cabin was found reduced to ashes, a scene of mystery and of violent destruction. Among the charred remains, a chilling echo of the past was there as well. Jorgensen's body, also headless. Fast forward to 1945, and the valley's curse struck once again. This time, a miner from Ontario faced a grim end. The miner was found in his sleeping bag, lifeless and beheaded, another victim of an unexplained horror. These tales of headless gold seekers have turned the Nahanni River Valley into a place of dark mystery and legend. What do you think happened? Was it the work of an unknown predator, a supernatural force, or something even more sinister?
Yeah. So really weird. And to this day, I guess Buddy mentioned it earlier, there's still like disappearances and stuff, and people will go out there to camp and stuff and hear crazy stuff in the woods. The natives that lived there in the past, they mentioned that there is a big wolf that roams those areas, like a wolf that's the size of a bear, and white demons. They call them white demons. This was on the other TikTok that I was mentioning earlier, Nick, that apparently go and chop people's heads off. So I don't know. I'm not buying the wolf thing. I'm not buying the demon thing. I think those individuals got their heads chopped off because it was probably some other individuals that were out there looking for the gold, and it was kind of a race to who can get to that gold faster. So they ended up chopping their heads off, and then every explorer that came out there ran into the same situation. Maybe there was a gold mine that was found, and the government like took it over. I'm just not buying the whole demon and monster thing. I think it's definitely humans out there chopping other people's heads off. That definitely, obviously, it happened, right? They found the bodies, but I think it's more like the government. I'm gonna go with like the government found gold out there, and they are like preserving it and not letting any outsiders get to it. That's my take. Jay, what is your take?
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that it would be a wolf or the, what was it, white demons?
Yeah, white demons.
Yeah, probably a little bit more of a government conspiracy piece. But I'll tell you what, after hiking a little over 4,000 miles in the last 3 years, animals don't freak me out. Stupid people do. Yeah, I think it would be more of a human thing rather than some old legend or some made up thing.
Right. Okay. Good take. Buddy. Yeah. Buddy's like absolutely
smart
like
enough to know that the easiest way to get people not to fuck with you is to kill the first ones.
Yeah, but they ended up all coming back, right? Like,
I know.
There.
Hey, it's people we don't know.
That's natural
Chop
selection,
their heads
right?
off. Yeah. Leave them sitting here. Guess what? Nobody else is coming. Here's the thing that's the conspiracy that I think we should discuss is who knows that people go to a certain area and get their head cut off, and then they're like, you know what we should do this weekend? Let's go camping in the valley where they cut the heads off. That would be so fun. What the fuck? No, let's not. Let's stay home. Let's have some coffee, maybe a bottle of wine, watch some TV, not get our heads cut off. Nothing in that valley worth getting your head cut off. And like a government gets
so it's really hard to get out there too, buddy. Like from my understanding, like you can only get out there by plane or boat or like I don't know. Like it's really hard to get out there. Like,
that's like the hard.
It's got to be rich people that aren't they don't have anyone who excite themselves and they go out there and they're like, "That's like you're dead."
Yeah, that's like getting your head cut off with extra steps. I don't get it. Like it's like I want to get my head cut off, but I don't want to stay home and do it. I want to travel far and then have some white demons come. And it's probably just Judes that were crawling through like chalky rock to get to you to cut your head off.
Yeah.
And then like it's just like natives that are there that are like, yeah, we don't want anyone else here. We saw what happened when you guys let those pilgrim folks that we heard about land. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
I would venture to I was going to say the natives possibly. The other video that I was actually going to play, but it was too late, talks about the natives, but tons of them that came there though, and then they just mysteriously disappeared, and nobody knows where they went.
Not from there again.
Yeah, but again,
they have an immigration policy. They don't want nobody, and pun intended, nobody, because they got a head.
No, my other take was going to be that it is actually some natives that are still there that are just living like a tribe that's living there and just cutting people's heads off.
That's what Buddy's saying.
Yeah, you know,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, because you said they all left.
These other natives show up when these other they showed up and then they were like, oh, don't go there. That's where the ones that are all dressed in white pop out and cut your head off are. Let's not go there.
You got to read that comment, Nick.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
Like legitimately. That is the only way that you can. The only way you can do anything with that is you got to get a special team of Schwarzenegger, the Apollo Creed,
Predator type shit.
Mexican, the Mexican lady. She's real hot, but I don't know her name. The Indian dude that cuts himself. All the dudes from like Predator. You got to get them to go.
Handle
They'll take care of things.
Okay. All right. So you're saying native tribes are still living out there? Yeah, I know, buddy. You can read the comment for us before we go to Nick if you wanna read that, buddy.
I am reading it currently.
It's a tough one to read again.
Thanks for tuning in, Derek. We appreciate you.
We appreciate it, Derek. So I actually watched those shows about spiritual haunting and can't say it could happen, maybe, but I also don't think that mentally, or I'm open to be able. Well, okay, I don't know. Open to be able. I don't know what he's saying here.
Able like that way, or although I do have a wife and 2 daughters, and their sensitivity is on a level that's
bro. Whatever you ate before you tuned into here, yes. I want some of it.
I have a theory. I have a theory from that comment. Basically, Derek Van Unick is writing his shit into Google Translate, and that's what you get. It's a bunch of
is that an AI comment?
Yeah.
Are we talking to an AI machine right now? Like, because I don't think anybody comes on Veteran Trash Talk with the last name Unick and doesn't expect it. I'm using the microphone.
I think it's Unick.
See, yeah.
It's pronounced Unick.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Unick. There's no umlaut over it. Unick.
Good deal, Derek. Good deal. Thanks for tuning in, man. Thanks for supporting the show.
Well, if you could maybe not speak into the microphone and type it a little more clear, we might be able to get at it. I'm drinking Tito's and ginger ale.
Yeah, we can tell by your comment. Yep.
Yeah. We can go. I'm a Tito's fan. However, I'm more of a 10th Mountain Potato Vodka fan. So go to 10thwhiskey.com and get their potato vodka. It's
everybody's lit in the chat today.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit stronger than a
native tribe.
Yeah, I mean, have we ruled out Galians yet?
I
mean. Okay, so
we talk about aliens a lot, but
Galians. Remember, we've discovered the Galians up in Russia.
Yeah, we have.
So I don't know. I mean, did the Galians take it one step further? I don't think so. I think we can rule them out. However, I don't understand who this guy is that was talking. First of all, don't announce yourself like you're from the Bigfoot Foundation.
It's like the 1800s, but the first documented bodies were found in like 1905, I think they said, or 1912.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Nick. If you're gonna do a video, don't announce yourself as like head of the Bigfoot Foundation, because we all know you have. But he is, but you haven't found it yet. So like
skinwalkers. Yeah.
So we can't take skinwalkers. Ooh, I like that. No, you got to stick with the native thing. But like I said, what chaps me about this is why do like a higher spiritual killing or white, was it white devil?
White demons.
Demons?
Yeah, white demons or white devils, all kinds of stuff.
Why do they have to be sinister? I think the people coming on their land are sinister. Right? Like, because like Buddy's saying, like, you're going on there. I honestly think these are some I think people it's natives for sure, but I don't like this. I mean, is it really happening? I don't think it's happening. I don't think there's anybody there. No. It's not.
You don't think anybody?
No.
Wow.
I think this is
fun for you. Usually you have like some off the wall explanation, or
I just don't think it's happening at all.
There's a whole series on it, from my understanding. There's a whole series on the History Channel, I think. Yeah, and Buddy's watched it, right? Buddy, you mentioned you saw some stuff about it.
I've seen some things about that, Valley. That being said, there is also a chance that their heads just fell off naturally.
Good point.
It is possible. Sometimes your pets' heads fall off. Heads just fall off. Yeah, that's where I was going exactly with that one. So nailed it.
Right, Nick, so not happening at all.
Not happening at all. Not happening at all.
Maybe Nick's scared of it.
No, and it might actually be the natives that release these stories so that just to make sure you don't come up there.
Yep, could be. Right. Ooh, there's your conspiracy right there. There is gold up there.
There is. There 100% is gold up there.
The two brothers and their family are still up there just getting all the gold.
Getting paid.
And they were like, hey, don't come up here.
Yeah.
That's like
they hired TikTok guy to push their social media.
Their last name is Rothschild now, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
They go a little bit further back.
Are you sure it's not Carnegie? Like who?
Chase Bank.
It's exactly the same thing I used to do. I used to do to my kid with like desserts. I'm like, oh, you don't want this. It's gross.
Yeah.
So nasty. You don't want a part of this. You don't want any of these drugs. You don't want any of this marijuana. Oh, well, is it addictive?
Okay.
No, it's not addictive.
Never been to Fort
The only one that ever saw that movie. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Wait, we got the eunuch here again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah. I mean,
I've never been to Fort Drum either.
Yeah. Why would we go there? Like, no, there's no airborne units there, and it's cold. Like, I just want to be with a couple of average soldiers in the cold. We saw what happened with the Galians with average soldiers in the cold. All right, we're not doing that. Not doing it. The Spetsnaz wouldn't let that happen.
Not that it's a bad thing. If that's what you're into.
Yeah, exactly. It's 2024. If you like gay aliens, there we found them. Go to Russia. All right, they'll find you too. Might take you with you. I don't know. All right. I got to do a quick book of roll. I got to do it. I got to address it. Otherwise, we'll forget about it. So those of you on Gruntworks, all right, that's our bro vet page. All right, that's where we got the guys on there that are living in their mom's basement, smashing some bush lights, still thinking that they can fight and kill everybody when the alien apocalypse or whatever zombie apocalypse happens. But when we click on your name to see like if you follow the page. Like, we don't care if you say something dumb and don't follow the page because you just don't know and you're like, in your mom's basement and commenting on this stuff. But the Book of Earl comes from, actually, it's probably in the 4th chapter, I think, when I wrote it years ago. The 4th chapter, I think, like verse 5. It's, don't Monday morning quarterback things unless somebody asks you to, right? So Face Man put up a good video and talking about how he was in the gym getting after it, which we know he wasn't really getting after it. He was either doing bench press or curls, like wasn't doing anything else. I mean, he can show his. Notice he never shows his legs because they're tiny.
My knees are fucked from being airborne.
Yeah. For like 5 years, but so, and he says something that we've talked about on this show before. We've talked about it to where when you have somebody coming into the gym getting after it, right? And, they're struggling, they're maybe a little bit overweight. They're probably, it took them a while to get into the gym, obviously, as they're overweight. And it took a lot of courage for them to get into the gym. It's life-changing. And so Dave says you got a couple of 20-year-olds kind of making jokes about this fat guy trying to get after it. And all of a sudden, these freaking keyboard warriors start getting on there about, why didn't you do something about it? Well, you should have went and kicked their ass. And it's like, well, for you typing that up, I'm gonna, just make an assumption that you're probably in your mid 40s, early 50s, just like the big girl is. Like, I ain't fighting no 20-year-olds right now. All right. Like, unless I can get the drop on you.
I'll fight a 20-year-old.
Not a group of them. Not a group of them.
That being said,
not a group of them.
Making it more awkward.
Also, like the guy didn't hear them at all. They were like next to me on the bench. Yeah,
even if Buddy's getting to my point. Even if they heard him, maybe you go up to the guy and say, "Hey man, you good?"
I think you do.
A little freaking nug. Be like, "Hey man, you good?"
Motivate him even more.
Right. Motivate him. But the last thing this person probably wants is for a big scene to come out.
Yeah.
Because of him. And now he's not going to be getting after it anymore. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe this was a bad idea. So to all you keyboard warriors out there, like, just don't Monday morning quarterback shit unless somebody asks you to. All right. And then, like, otherwise, nobody gives a shit what you're doing.
And don't get mad at me for posting a video on my company's social media. That's kind of what we do.
It's like
so we run a social media company.
And again, I'm a cocky guy.
It's only like 20% of you. Guy. The other 80% of you always receive my videos with praise and all that, so I appreciate all of you. But like you, 20% need to figure it the fuck out.
I'm a cocky guy. Buddy's a cocky guy, and for those that have known us for a long time, if you tell us we're doing something wrong, or you tell us to do better, we're probably going to tell you to go fuck yourself for like the first couple seconds. But we're going to listen.
we're going to think about it for sure.
Think about it. It's like, hey, maybe I do need to do better, right? Like that's all Dave was trying to say in that video.
My video today too, though. When I said do better, when it's like all the complaining, that there's a lot of complaining that happens in the veteran community and even in, the civilian sector, just always bitching about the same issue over and over and over. And I'm literally just, you're becoming a victim of your own circumstances, right? When you're just bitching and complaining over and over about the same shit. Like, why aren't you changing it? And then somebody got on there and he's like, this guy lost his passion for veterans and like, he doesn't like veterans. I'll I'll listen to you if you need me to, if you need to complain, you know, because it's gonna save a life. I'm like, motherfucker, you're not getting my point. You're not understanding what I'm putting down. And it's just, it's hilarious, man. But you're a victim, dude.
Like, is that what you think? Is that what people think that veterans are supposed to do for other veterans? Like, you just like sit around and you're like, what do you want to bitch about today?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just surround ourselves with a bunch of negative energy. That would make my day so much better. Fucking.
But when you say like I lost my passion, like go watch some of my other videos, you know, and it's just I just don't have a thing for like the complaining about the same situation over and over again, and you haven't done shit about it. Like you're gonna stay there, you're gonna stay put. Like you are literally going victim to your circumstances. Like make a change. It's that easy, huh?
Nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. We should have already learned that.
Yeah. Our good friend Ben Owen has that sign up all the time, right? Like nobody's coming to save you. Like fix it yourself. So, and then again, anyhow, buddy.
Yeah.
Introduce the guest.
All right. So it is my pleasure to introduce Air Force. You know what? I would love to say your rank, but look, it is a lot of these and a lot of below it.
Stars in there.
Yeah. There's like a star.
Is it an E or is it a
so much? So Air Force rank is so hard. You look like an E50. So it's E50 Scott Francis, who wrote the book 5 Million Steps about most of his journey, but he walked. I mean, he's apparently walked. He said earlier 4,000.
I mean, only an Air Force guy would walk that far for no reason.
This is about his 2,650 mile walk on the Pacific Crest Trail, and what he went through during his journeys, kind of some of his stories. And Jason, tell us about your book. Tell us about your why you started Forrest Gumping north and south and north on the Pacific coast, and what you learned while you
did a Trash Talk Hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
welcome.
Yeah, well, hey, Jens, thanks for welcoming me to the show. I
should stand at like Super Parade Rest, and I don't even know why.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, thanks for having me on the show, Jens. I appreciate what you stand for. Appreciate what you do. You know, some incredible work, supporting some great causes, and you know, certainly an honor to be here. And thanks for your listeners, your watchers, everybody that tunes in and supports you all as well. Yeah, man, honor to be here. But Jay France. I retired from the Air Force in April of 2021, and turned 50 the following week, and then started my hike of the Pacific Crest Trail the week after that. Yeah, it goes from the border of Mexico to the border of Canada through California, Oregon, and Washington. And to get to it, it was a childhood dream. I grew up in Washington State, and when I was 8, looking at a National Geographic with my grandmother, like you can't make this stuff up. And she was a very inspirational person in my life growing up. And that was the first little bit right there. She's like, yeah, you ought to do this someday, and you'll probably do it faster than this guy that did it right here. So fast forward, man. Was watching a video. I was stationed out in Nevada for a bit, watching a trail documentary about that. First time that folks had brought, kind of before YouTube was big, brought out and did a documentary of the whole thing. And, my wife and I are sitting there. She's like, hey, isn't that the trail you're always talking about? I said, yeah. She's like, well, you ought to hike that when you retire. So I was like, okay, here we go. Well, then the time came to actually execute, and I felt bad because after 31 years, 9 deployments between my wife and I. She was also active duty. My sons were 15 and 11 at the time. I was kind of thinking, hey, what kind of guy picks up and leaves 2 weeks after he retires and heads out on this thing? So I felt kind of bad. I was like, hey, babe, I'm thinking about doing the Washington section, which is about 500 miles. To kind of end my military journey where I started. And she called out my shit. She's like, hey, man up. Why aren't you going to do the whole thing? I said, okay, pretty cool. My wife's a little badass. And so her and my family encouraged me to do it. Went out there and knocked it out. Yeah, so it was 144 days of fun. and about 120 of that was hiking. Incredible experiences. You know, all the things that we carry with us from, you know, some long and sometimes difficult military careers, to get away, to like completely disconnect, get away from social media, get away from the news, decompress after, you know, a career of service where you're pouring into others, sometimes and taking away from yourself to do that. I'll tell you what, man, you know, disconnecting and, you know, kind of reconnecting with yourself as well. That was the first time in my life that I had the time and space to let all of my thoughts, the good and the bad, play out with no interruption or distraction. And for the most part, it was freaking amazing. But every once in a while, you know, to the comments that were made earlier, you know, that fighting for your future piece that you talk about, you know, you don't get to choose where your mind goes when you have that uninterrupted time. And sometimes it does take you to those dark places. But I was happy to visit those and you know, reframe some things I've been carrying for a while. But yeah, so then, you know, ended up coming back, and a few folks that said, hey man, you ought to write a book. So it ended up being 17 different chapters. I had no end state in mind, no objective for page count or anything. So it turned out to be 17 chapters, all of experiences I had on the trail and how those experiences, you know, came back on reflections of, you know, tough childhood, a career of service, being a dad, you know, being a husband, gratitude, you know, the good and the bad. Didn't want to hide any of the tough stuff in there too, because although it was a great experience, you know, there's some tough times in there too. But yeah, man. So here we are today. Yeah, it was an awesome ride to write. I'd never really been, you know, that good with words, but you know, with some help, ended up putting it together, and glad it's out here, and glad to have a chance to talk about it today.
So is that your so you did the Pacific Coast Trail? Are you doing any other ones like the Appalachian Trail or anything else, or is that was like your dream? So that's the one you hit, and that's it, or what?
Yeah, that was the dream. You know, being a West Coast guy, each of the three big, you know, because you have the Pacific Crest Trail on the West Coast, the Continental Divide, that 3,100 miles that goes up the center, and then the Appalachian Trail, you know, of course, out on the East Coast. Yeah, I'm a mountain and view guy, and loved it. Mad respect for those folks that you know, take on the Appalachian Trail, but just not in my sights. The following year, I did the Colorado Trail, which is about 500 miles, goes from Denver to Durango, real high elevation stuff. Absolutely love that one. And then last year I did the Tahoe Rim Trail, which circumnavigates Lake Tahoe. Yeah. But yeah, none of the other big ones on my scope right now, but who knows?
I don't know if you know this about Nick and Dave and I, but we did 25-mile road marches every quarter. So kind of the same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. We pretty much know exactly. Yeah. Same thing. Same.
Well, all jokes aside, though, when you talk about, like, you know, getting in that mental space when you're road marching, I feel like when we did those long ruck marches, like, it's just you and it's quiet out there. Like, you do start thinking about a lot of stuff. You know, you start, you know, thinking about the good and the bad. It really does come because you're disconnected from everything.
I wish you got done too fast.
I do love that aspect of it. Yeah, I do love that. Everything. I do love that aspect. But, like, for any of the viewers that are watching that are saying, hey, I wouldn't mind doing that hike, you know, how much preparation goes into that?
Yeah, I would say I did, I don't know, probably about 2 months. You know, I maintained a consistent level of fitness throughout my career, which was helpful. I would offer the mental game was probably more challenging than the physical game. You know, just fortunate over time in a career to experience, you know, some great schools, had the opportunity, you know, I graduated Army Ranger School. You know, that really helped out, you know, with that mindset as a young NCO. You know, just those difficult times, those difficult deployments, you know, all of those things that, you know, set up somebody mentally to have a higher probability of success to do a task this big. The physical piece came. I started slow. Like I said, I was 50. I started slow. My first day was 11 miles. I didn't want to jump right in, let my 50-year-old body with my 25-year-old mind in it take over and end up with a repetitive use or an overuse injury that sidelined me off the trail. So took it slow. I was in no rush, and that the physical fitness definitely came pretty quick. But the mental stuff was the most challenging, and missing my family, that was the hardest part. But it's oftentimes folks look at the physical preparation, but that kind of comes if you go with a good level of fitness and take your time.
Right, but I wanted to cover. I want to cover something real quick about you, Dave. Actually, so you're saying you were Air Force, right, Jay?
Yeah.
All right, buddy, you were Army.
Correct.
I was Army.
I think I know.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
You went to Ranger School?
Yes.
No, I did not.
Graduated from U.S. Army Ranger School.
U.S. Army Ranger School.
Everybody that graduated from Ranger School, raise your hand.
Raise your hand. You graduated from Ranger.
Yeah. I retired. Raise your hand if you retired out of the military and didn't medically retire. Raise your hand if you didn't medically retire.
Yeah.
This wasn't a trap.
No. I just thought for the audience, it's just saying, like, this is weird.
I think what we're trying to get you to say, Jay, is that the first step of doing hard stuff is to go to Ranger School,
not go to recruiter school.
I get it. Yeah,
not go to recruiter school. So it starts with an R. Shit.
Yeah.
Say,
Jay, my
wrong R. Yeah.
You changed the letters around a little bit.
Every other day, Jay. Every other day I have to hear it. I retired out of
I actually wasn't
but it's
thinking
cool.
about it until today, but like I already knew because
it's good that Nick ended up going to Ranger School because I was Nick's platoon sergeant, so like I obviously motivated him enough to go to Ranger School,
you
is what it is.
You got to put that on your NCOER, that's right. So, yeah.
I got hurt on the jump, and then Nick, just like launched his career after that,
Yeah,
he went,
pretty much.
But Jay, real quick, before Nick got into the Ranger School thing, did you have set goals every day, like distance wise, or did you? Because my dad actually did this crazy hike in Spain. I don't know. It's like this
Camino de Santiago.
Yes, my dad did it, and he's in his 60s, and he did it a couple months ago. But they had like benchmarks and he did not cheat, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I just can't make it today, and they get on the bus and then they go to those little places where you stay for one night. Everybody's snoring. You wash up and then you leave and you go to the next spot. Did you have any like distances that you had to do daily, or did you just say, all right, screw it, I'm done for today?
I chose not to have that on purpose. Retiring out of the position that I did, my life all day was 15-minute increments. Planning every single thing. It was a lot. So I was like, I want to come out here and I want my plan to not be a plan. So I want to get up. I want to keep it simple. I want to walk. I want to stop whenever I want to, enjoy this view, do some fishing, do some swimming, just chill. When I end is when I end. And I had no target in mind each day.
Hey, Jay, I got a two-part question for you, if you don't mind. So, talk a little bit about what you did in the Air Force besides being better than Dave in the Army, even though you weren't even in the Army. Like, we don't need to talk about that anymore. I was just kind of beaten to the down. But what did you do in the Air Force? And then
we talked about next show, a show after.
But
you, Nick, still stronger than you. But
when you're walking, and you're talking about those thoughts, and we've said this on the show a lot, and we go find a place to find yourself, and it wasn't strange to me when you were like, well, 2 weeks after retiring, I wanted to go do this, and I'm pretty sure, obviously you write about it, but I don't want to give away too much of the book. What those dark places that you started thinking about, well, how much of that was the service related? And, talk about that in the book, about how difficult was that to write that, or was it easy to write that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well,
that's a tough question right there. All right.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's valid. I think it's important to, to share that. On the service part, I started out as a military working dog handler, security forces, used to be security police, and had a very fortunate turn in my career after graduating that one school that we talked about earlier that we're not going to bring up again because there's some friction here. And so opportunities opened up after that, and took a a turn away from the K-9 piece, went to be an instructor for a bit, had an assignment to Joint Special Operations Command, and then kind of stuck in the world of, that deployment piece of the career field that we had there. Then promotions happened, and I ended up going the Command Chief Master Sergeant route, which is, the same thing as a, Command Sergeant Major. Served at the installation level up to the MAGCOM, and then finished
with
out.
More syllables, though. I would say it has a lot more syllables.
Syllables.
It does.
Chief Master. Yeah. That sounds like a video game character that does a lot.
You gotta beat them to win the game.
Yeah,
it kind of is. Yeah,
that's actually who you are in the game. Is the Command Chief Master Sergeant Air Force.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, and it's a lot for Army guys to put together and remember sometimes too.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah.
Can't.
But I finished with an Army boss at U.S. Transportation Command. So awesome. Loved the opportunities I had in a career, especially in those joint assignments. Working with folks from all other services. It was awesome. But to your second part of the question, I'll tell you what. The things that I share in that book, there are things that I had never said out loud, things I had never shared with my wife, my sons. Some of the things I talk about there is wanting to protect them from the world and not wanting them to know the things that I experienced or the things that I was around. I wanted to protect, especially for my sons, an element of their innocence. My wife also, she had a deployment to Afghanistan and deployment to Iraq. And, so she got to experience on a different level, but scaled, some of those things as well. But I'll tell you what, those things that I was most hesitant, I won't say hesitant, but thought about 2 or 3 times before sharing, those are the things that have been resonating the best with folks. I didn't go, hey, I'm going to write this chapter so I can be vulnerable and, do all these things. There wasn't intentionality behind it. But the feedback that I'm getting from folks, especially those that have chosen to get help, that is, the hugely rewarding thing. But Earl, to your point, most of the things that the dark stuff, as you said, that I experienced on the trail were memories of deployment experiences that I thought I might have had closure on, but learned that I did not, which led to thoughts about, hey, dude, why did you wait so long when you knew you needed to take a knee, you knew you needed to get some help? And, I share in those, one of the stories where I was, at rock bottom when, the hypervigilance and all of those things were so bad. I went to dinner with my wife one night. We're sitting across from each other. I couldn't hear a word that she was saying. I could tell you how many people are in the restaurant. I could tell you what the conversation is 2 tables behind me. I could tell you everything the hostess said as everybody's coming in the door. I could hear utensils in the kitchen as the dishwasher's, getting after it back there. But I could not, as hard as I tried, hear her words. So, we go home, and I had known for a few years at that point that I needed to get some help. And chose to be what I thought was, being strong for my sons, being strong for my family, not being the one that wanted to burden them, but knowing they would have done anything to help me. So, just kept it all inside.
The opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I go home and, my sons are in there, my wife goes and they have, a hug when they come home. And it was like I was 2 feet away from him, but it felt like I was a world away. And I didn't feel that I deserved to be a part of that embrace because I didn't feel part of this. And I was like, no, this is it. So the following morning, as an installation, similar to, a garrison command sergeant major equivalent, as that guy, I went and, sought help. But to the point you made earlier too, on that video about the stigma, dude, I was in the room, even though we're in a better place now. This was 2000.
We are getting better.
We are. This was 2013, 14. I was in the room as that installation, senior leader in those conversations, talking about, the mental health issues. And I tell you, man, I would look around at other leaders of an installation and they're like, shit, we're talking about this again. Can we move past this? Can we talk about some, the eyes rolling and stuff. And then I was like, man, these are the people that are going to know that I'm going to get help. What are they going to think of me? You know, what are they going to think about my ability to lead? You know, all these things, all that stuff that was going on in my mind. And I'm like a senior dude. I couldn't even imagine what these young NCOs, these young enlisted, you know, these young officers that needed help would face. Because, you know, I'm one of the, you know, more senior folks on the base, and I'm still seeing this, and I'm still hesitant to step forward. But I'm glad I did.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. And I've talked about this on videos multiple times. 2011 or 12 was the first time I went to mental health at Fort Bragg, and I was up for E8 promotion, and the doctor there told me that, hey, depends on what you want to do. You know, you might want to not go further with this right now. If like you're worried about promotion, maybe just some counseling and stuff. So I did the counseling route, and that was a stigma back then. You know, it just that would end your career. So I think now we've progressed and we've done a lot better. I think Nick has a pretty similar story with not really the mental health aspect. I guess it's more of a physical aspect with the back issue that he had. But we are getting better. But that was a prime example of, oh shit, now I'm not going to take care of myself because I'd rather get promoted. But what does that do? You know, and then it prolongs the issue and it makes it worse. So yeah.
And it's like any other issue where we're trying to talk about the human performance, right? And it's a system thing where, you know, mental, physical, spiritual, you know, you might be firing on almost all of those cylinders.
Yeah.
Except for one. So you don't look bad. You don't look like you can't do your job. And then you'll have those people they'll come in there and be like, well, this guy's just trying to get out of training. This guy's just trying. Yeah. Is there onesies and twosies like that? Yeah.
100% there are.
Yeah, for sure. But for the most part, it's like, I guess we were lucky, Dave. We always talk about this. We never really had a chain of command where I didn't feel like I couldn't go,
correct,
like get help.
And that's how we were as leaders too, right? That's right. Because we were brought up.
I mean,
like
sometimes I was still an asshole sometimes, but it is what it is.
You're always a dick, dude.
Oh, you're feeling sorry for yourself? Well, let's go on a run.
But your soldier respected you too. You know, it's like when a soldier comes to you, it's and they say something to you or they have an issue, they shouldn't be worried of like you getting mad. They should be worried about like letting you down or whatever, like that mentality aspect of it, you know, like they respected you, but you were a fucking asshole, bro. You big time asshole.
Well, when I was, you know,
to this day,
as a first sergeant, when everything was falling apart on me, and you know, all of our training operations in Hawaii were, you know, in the mountains, in the Kahukus, and real tough terrain, jungle, stuff like that. And I went to my colonel and I said, hey, I was like, sir, can I get like a week and a half of like treatment before each of these field ops? Like, otherwise,
I'm not gonna be able to.
I'm not gonna make it. And then he was like, "Yeah, take the time that you need. Right? Go get the men will understand that. Like, and then tell your men about it. Right? Like, tell your men it's like, hey, I need to go do physical therapy. I need to, you know, go get shots in my back so that I can go climb this fucking mountain with you guys. Right? And it's like." It's tough because you don't want to look like a baby to him, you know, like
similar on the mental health aspect too. You know, that was how I felt about it because I was already an E9 when, you know, these things really started coming up and, you know, kind of revisiting. And I was like, man, I'm going to let my guys down. I had that sense that, hey, I got to be everything for everybody, family. And, you know, as that senior enlisted leader in an organization, hey, what are they going to think about me? What are the other, you know, leaders going to think about me? I need to be strong for my people, but I wasn't strong for myself. So, you know, there's two ends to that. You know, a young person can be hesitant because they don't want to let the leader down. Well, shit. I mean, the leader, this guy anyway, didn't want to let, you know, my young people down. So bad view in retrospect, but you know, that's what I was feeling at the time. because I was worried about my security clearance. I was worried about, getting, forced to retire. I was worried about, in a career field where I had to, draw firearms. I was worried about that, not being able to do that anymore. So, all those things, I can't say those things prevented me. I prevented myself, but all those things were part of my decision calculation to not get help.
And then the other side of that bell curve, to those watching, listening, like we talk about the guys attacking Dave on the video post is no, there is a time where someone needs to tell you to ruck up.
Yeah.
Right. Someone needs to tell you need to change some stuff. You need to go do this. And so it's also not being an asshole to be like, I can see that you're feeling sorry for yourself. You don't need to go to sick call. You need to stop being a baby. Right. And it happens. Right. And so it's a tough call. And, and I know if you're not a medical professional, whatever, but I know Buddy chops at the bit on this kind of stuff, and he's waiting. Go ahead.
He does.
Do it.
He does.
Well, to me, honestly, it's like you just
he's our special forces guy of the group.
Yeah.
He's the good.
Well, and here's the thing.
Decorated soldier, I know.
Well, and here's the thing. We're all talking about, when we talk about mental health, especially if you're tired or whatever, we all talk about dealing with like stage 4 cancer when it's already at stage 4, as opposed to dealing with like you got a little lump on your, like, go get it checked out so that it doesn't turn into something bigger or worse. Right. There are a lot of nuances to like mental health. There are a lot of nuances to like being in the Army, being in the Air Force, doing special operations jobs, things like that.
School,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but the big thing is, first of all, you can't just – the first time you see something that looks like a dead body can't be when you're in war. You have to train like you're going to fight, and that's just not a cliche. You actually have to train for stress. But at the same time, when you're done with that training, part of the AAR should be, how did that affect you? What are you thinking about? Like, for instance, when you go to SEER school in the Army, when you get done with it, there's a whole day where they have POWs that come in and talk to you about what you just went through. And you went through a very small portion of what they went through, but what you just went through, how it might affect you, and how you should look at like those things, like when you see somebody. I just watched a clip about a Marine guy that was talking about professionalism in the military, and like you see somebody killed, of course especially if it's a buddy of yours, you take it personally. You want vengeance. You want all this other stuff, right? But you have to sit down and talk about it, and then talk about it logically. And the fact is, there's nothing. Everything is feels super personal in combat, and nothing is personal. It's the craziest dynamic that it has ever been. There's nothing more personal than having somebody try to kill you. That being said, they're not trying to kill Nick. They're not trying to kill Buddy. They're not trying to kill Jay. They're trying to kill a dude. Turns out, guess what we're trying to do? Same fucking thing. So there's really nothing personal about it, but we get, for lack of a better term, we get in our feels about it, and we're like, oh, they killed my buddy. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to fuck these dudes up. We think about it. We have all these, but we don't ever stop and just talk about it and say, hey, we're going to stand down for a few hours, and we're just going to talk about what happened. Yeah, that was bad. But at the end of the day, we're in the killing business, and getting killed is part of the business, just like killing people is part of the business. And if you don't like it, go get some help and then get out, because you turn into a different person, like the hypervigilance that Jay was talking about earlier. Yeah, it's bad, but we've talked about it on the show before. It depends on how you look at it. Hypervigilance is bad.
It could benefit you.
It happens and you're ready for it. Then it's no longer bad. Then it's an attribute. You know what I mean? So it's trying to find a balance between being hypervigilant and also being able to listen to your wife when she's trying to talk to you.
Still being connected to everything else that's going on. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure, I'll have a beer.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. I mean, Buddy, you bring up some great points. And I look back and see how
Stop it. They
were the first one that's ever said that?
No, but they were okay.
Not a huge deal.
When I look back at
great question.
When 9/11 kicked off, I'd been in the Air Force for 11 years. I was a E6 select, and we didn't have a lot going on. When I came in, we had some Vietnam era folks, and they just didn't share these these things. When that kicked off, everything was new for us anyway. Yep, everything was new. So, all of a sudden that kicks off. Hey, Jay, we just sent you to all these Army schools and we need to send you over to, Afghanistan at the end of 2001 so we can integrate with 10th Mountain, who was over there on Bagram Air Base. And that's when things, started going really quick. To your point about, seeing that first combat casualty or that first person that's been killed. We didn't have those experiences before to share, to know about, to say, hey, everyone's response to something like this is going to be different, and that's okay. Or to, hey, let's stop after this and let's, discuss this. Let's reflect on this a little bit, and, let's lay eyes on each other to make sure you're okay. That wasn't the world that at least I lived in at that point. It's like, okay, you're done, compartmentalize that shit, turn it off, moving on to the next thing, focus, mission, stay sharp, keep moving. It wasn't until years later that, these conversations and these thoughts about how people are going to act and react to these things, those never happened before.
I think you're 100% right, Jay. And the thing is, I think that is kind of one of, I think that our generation of GWAT veterans and soldiers have a duty to the next ones to make sure that if we're going to go to war, there's a reason and there's a plan and there's an exit strategy at some point, and that we're vocal about not allowing that not to be a thing. And we're not just going to go to war for 20 years for what seems to be no reason other than to be at war. And then B, to share the lessons that we've learned so that our kids, when they join the Air Force or join the Army, don't, like, my dad's a Vietnam vet, never said a fucking word about Vietnam.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Nick and Dave have World War II, Vietnam, Korean vets and their family, never said a fucking word about it. They may have said some cool stories about hanging out with their friends, but they never said anything about the hard parts, about how they dealt with it.
Not until I came back from my first deployment is when my family that served got
what they wished that had been different when they joined. And I think that's our job at this point, is because we're not so old that we can't but hey, look, guys, like, yeah, you're gonna go there, you're gonna do whatever, but when you come back, or even not even when you come back, like, instead of going to your tent or your cot or your chew or wherever and
hotel, Air Force,
playing a video game or going to the MWR and just trying to forget that it's happening, don't talk about it. Deal with it right then. If you deal with it then, you won't have to deal with it later, because it seems like, to me, we had a guy on the show once, Dan, who was a UH or a CH-47 or MH-47 pilot with the 160th, and he talked about, like, being on a train, and every time you go through, like, there's like a piece of 550 cord or a ribbon that's like dangling behind you, and then when you jump off, all that stuff wraps around you. And like I look at it like, every time you do that, you're digging a little bit, you're digging a scoop of dirt out from underneath you, and you're just getting deeper and deeper into a hole. And at some point, you're going to have to pull yourself out of that hole. It's easier to just pull that scoop of dirt back in right after you dig it out than it is to try to pull a whole berm of dirt that's around you and keep burying yourself in like some bullshit. Just deal with it at the time. But again, nobody told us about that, but we know better. It's our job to tell them so they don't have to deal with the same shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Well said, buddy. Well said.
Yeah, those challenges, turn out to be gifts later when, I was an E7 and an E8, leading larger formations of young guys coming in and seeing this for the first time. And it's like, okay, let's reflect back on, 6-7 years ago, how I was feeling when I was you and the things I was thinking about when I was you. And let's, take a moment to acknowledge that also, that it's going to be different for everybody. That's one of the things that bothered me the most. I know people that have experienced way, way worse than me. So there was some guilt there, like, hey, what they experienced was so much worse than me, and they're fine. What the hell's wrong with me? Which is one of those things that prevented, me from coming forward, but sharing those experiences with young leaders and new folks coming into that deployment game.
Well, that's not really a new experience either, Jay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like, you start talking about, like, even if you do start sharing like a combat story, there's always somebody that had a worse story, and then you always feel bad.
They're called conversation hijackers.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, you know that, like, you're talking about, like, you guys talk about being in Samara, and there are other dudes that were in Ramadi, or you know what I mean?
It's not really a story against where you were.
You know, there's a bunch of dudes that were in Afghanistan that had worse tours than you had, and you don't want to be like, sir one up them. That's like, oh well, and it's not like a cool thing to be like, well, you've got 4 friends that died. Well, I've got 5. You know what I mean? It's not a competition you want to win.
No,
yeah, terrible.
And it's all like, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, Jay, where can are the books are pre-order right now, correct?
It is.
Yeah. How do people go pre-order your book? Where do they go to get it?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You type in 5 million steps, Jason France. It'll be the first thing that pops up there. If any folks are interested, I got them available now on my site. If any folks that wanted a signed copy, or directly from the publisher, Amplify Publishing Group, it's available now. But hey, 3 weeks from now, it'll be available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, widely available to anyone who's interested.
And what's your site?
My site, elevateleadershipsolutions.com.
That's a hard one to type.
It is. Yeah.
Normally our producer, who's getting drunk and veil, does all this, but he's got like 7 screens. Elevate Leadership
Solutions.com. Yep.
I'm going to spell this all wrong. It looks stupid. Solutions.com. I think that worked. Is that spelled right?
That's it right there. Yeah, there's it's got a page on there for the book. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and if you go to Amazon, just type in 5 million steps and it pops right up. So go to we got David Gray watching. He's an artilleryman. Amazon. Speak slow. Amazon. Right, and then type in 5 million steps. Megan asked a question here.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I know who she's referencing here on this one.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good question. I mean, what is the best way a spouse can support when your spouse is clearly struggling but says they aren't, when they admit to struggling but don't want professional help, or even agreeing to help but won't take the steps to schedule it? What are ways a spouse can help? I feel like it's a tricky line to walk between calling the bullshit and giving them space to process. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's good. That's a good one.
I have an answer for that that's worked for me in the past, and it's
It's my wife, by the way, Jay. Yeah.
Don't do anything. Don't do anything. Call their army friends that you already know do the work for you.
They're still in.
Yeah. To be honest, like I have friends that do the same thing. Like their wife will call me and be like, "Hey, he's struggling right now, or this going on, or whatever. Can you give him a call?" And then be the friend that calls and doesn't say, "Hey, your wife called me because you were struggling. Why are you being?"
No, you just call.
You just call them and go, "Hey, man, what's up? How's things? Yeah, how's everything going with this specific thing?"
Real quick on that one, buddy. Just call. Buddy has mentioned this multiple times on the show where I think we all need to get better is check on your buddies. Don't just call them when there's something going on or when you need something. Who's the guy that we've had on multiple times, buddy, who talks about that, who always reaches out to Jimmy reaches out to all of his guys like once a week, and it's that's important.
What I found to be the easiest thing when you're thinking about when you're having like thinking about somebody, when it just all of a sudden you just start because everybody has like that guy that or people that they'll think of randomly, and they'll just be like, when you think of them, call them, because there's a pretty good chance that they're thinking about you or whatever, but there's a reason that you're thinking about them. Just give them a call.
Yeah. And follow up with your buddies. Yep, for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. No, hey, I hope that
great discussion here. Yeah,
I hope we can get you some book sales. And again, I hope that we know that for a fact, just by the chat thread itself, that we got people talking. right? And just this conversation we had is going to do somebody some real good. And just like we always say, this Saturdays, I get it. You know, we promote companies, we promote authors. We do this for ourselves, you know, and I don't care how selfish you think it is.
It's our therapy.
It's our therapy, right? Get on here and chat. So, buddy, give us the AAR, man. What we got going on? What happened today?
Ooh, you know what the first thing that we have going on is that I didn't take any notes.
I know. I saw that. You were not writing.
So I'm going to tell you that this is going to be.
You can freestyle. You're good.
This is going to be off the top. All right. So first thing, if Jay comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'm going on a hike through this valley called the
Don't go.
Like valley," don't go. Don't go. Don't get your heads cut off with
a trap.
Steps. You're not going to like it. Apparently, there might be gold there, but it ain't worth it. You can't spend it if you ain't got no body. Just saying. You can't do it. People have tried it before, and for hundreds of years, they've just been getting up there and losing their heads. Pun completely intended. Anyway, other than that, and then you got Earl with his book of Earl, which was don't sharpshoot people. If
Don't
you
be
don't
a Monday morning quarterback.
Don't Monday morning quarterback people if you don't have any real skin in the game, if it doesn't really matter anyway. And then last but not least, Jay France's book, 5 Million Steps, about his trek through the Pacific Crest Trail. Get the book. It's on pre-order right now, but you can pre-order it. You can get yourself a nice signed copy like this one right here. But really good read. It's actually not really it's not rough. It's not a hard read. No. Pretty easy read. Good for if you're going on a flight. If you just want to do some meditating, there's some stuff that you can kind of see yourself in. Anyway, buy the book and then go to elevateleadershipsolutions.com. And there you go. That's the AAR.
Oh,
also,
baller, buddy.
We were told on several occasions today on the show that I'd made some very good points. So
you've been phenomenal today, buddy.
Mark that episode down on fire.
That was true. That is true. Gotta live with it. God.
Jay, final words, brother.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on, gents. And, for those listeners, I did see the chat light up there when we're talking about some seemingly difficult things. Hey, get some help if you need some help. Talk to somebody, call your buddies. One thing that was that I overlooked is the impact that some of my behaviors and my choices not to get help, how that was impacting my family. And thinking about that and thinking about what might happen in the future if I don't get control of some of these things, that was very helpful in me making the decision to seek help, looking at the family impact. So please, y'all, lots of resources out there, lots of places to go to reach out if you need some help. Please do. And thanks again, gents, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Phenomenal show. Thanks for coming on, Jay. And hey, if you're watching, go buy the book. All right. Support a fellow veteran. If you tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website. It has the links to everything. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We are shadow banned on YouTube. So if you're watching now, go give us a like and subscribe. For some reason, YouTube doesn't like us, but let's get the views up there. Yeah. And go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com. You can check out our awesome merch. I'm wearing the Veteran Trash Talk. Get the demons out. Nick is wearing an OG VT t-shirt. I think that was the very first one we ever made. And then Buddy is wearing the Quit Being a Triggered Pansy, which applies to everybody. Okay, it's not a political shirt. When you wear that shirt out, everybody's like, "Oh, you're no, it's not political. Everybody's a fucking pansy at times."
It's the best travel shirt ever.
Absolutely.
Ever. Yeah.
Again, Jay, thank you so much, and we'd love to have you back on. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Boom.
Boom.